Hey guys, this is your art teacher. I'm so excited about what we are making today. We are going to be working with clay. And as you can tell, my hands are already dirty. I've been working with clay and getting some examples and demonstrations ready for you. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to have our first goal is to make our pinch pot. Okay, and then instead of making a typical pinch pot where we tap it on the table and we make a flat base on the bottom so that we have a pinch pot that faces upward toward the ceiling, today we're going to be making our pinch pot flat on the front edge like this. And then these are going to be the lips of our fishy. Mr. and Mrs. Fishy love to kiss my kindergartners and my first graders. And any one of my other older students who's watching this. I know you guys do not like Mr. Fishy kissing you. Y'all are too cool for that. Anyway, another goal is going to be to put the tail on there. Now, in the past, what I've done is I've put the eyes on there. But what happens when we store this has a tendency to fall backwards. So if we go ahead and put the tail on there, then when this is being stored on our card, the card that has your name on it, where it says, place your clay artwork here, this is not going to fall backward, okay? Just a cute little tail right there, nothing super big or elaborate. We want to make sure that we don't pinch this too thin because it's going to have a tendency to break off when we put it in the kiln or while we're working on it next week in class. Okay, so let's get started. So let me move those out of the way, make sure that we can see everything in our camera. Okay, so first on our ceramics clay studio checklist, we have clip our fingernails, okay? Make sure that they're short. If you didn't get that done today, mine look pretty, well, they're pretty short, but they're pretty messy as well. If you didn't get that done before you came to school today, that's okay. Just make sure that you do it before next week. After you take a bath, it would be a great time for you to clip your nails or have one of your parents help you. Go ahead and pull long hair out of the way. If you have a ponytail holder or a clip, just go ahead and get that clipped out of your face so you're not having to worry about not being able to see very well. Push up long sleeves above your elbow, or you can remove bulky and big jackets. You can go ahead and put those at the front of the room on my carpet up there, and nobody should be stepping on my carpet anyway, so it will not get stepped on. If your sleeves are in the way, you don't get clay. Okay, just get those bulky sleeves out of the way. We don't need anything inhibiting us from doing the best we can while we are working with clay. I'm so sorry about that. I kicked my tripod in accident. We're going to get the square clay cloths, so table leaders. If you'll go ahead and you can even stop the video if you need to, or maybe I need to stop the video and choose my table leaders. Table leaders, you're going to go ahead and get this square clay cloth, one for each person at your table. Okay, so go ahead and set that up. Okay, if for the older kids, when we're using slab construction, we get a little bit of a bigger cloth. Instead of a small square, it's a little bit more of a rectangle. Now this is a kind of a rectangle shape. I do know my shapes. Anyway, we're going to get this rib tool. Now we recycle, repurpose, recycle, reuse, reduce, remake, all the re's. This right here, this is what we're going to use for our potter's rib tool. Now these come in wood, they're made of wood or plastic or even metal. This one right here, ours, is a cut up gift card. You can even use whole gift cards. Just make sure that it doesn't have a balance on it. Spend it at the store first, ask your parents for permission. Make sure it doesn't have a balance on it, and then you can bring it to the art room, or you can even use it at home in your own little art studio. Potter's needle is what I'm going to use to write your initials on the back of your clay work. Score tool is what we're going to use to attach the tail, and I'm going to be showing you that in this video. While you guys are working, I'm also going to play this video so that you can work along with me and you won't miss any steps in the construction. Okay, next we're going to be using different carving tools and modeling tools, and then we'll have a cup of slip. What I've used today, what we're using today is a spritz bottle, and this is going to be kind of a replacement for slip. When you are constructing your pinch pot, I want you guys to be able to give it just a little spritz if you need to, just a little spritz, not too much. You do not want this to be too wet. I've been working with really, really wet clay, and as you can see, I've got a lot of that wet clay stuck on my hands. When you are touching clay, it should not come off on your fingers like that. It shouldn't be that wet. If I ever give you clay that's really wet like that, I apologize. I try to do my best to make sure that it's soft enough that we can mold it, but it's not so soft that it just sticks on your hands and makes a muddy mess everywhere. We don't like our clay to be that soft. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to be passing out to you, or you're going to come and get from me, or your table leader, okay, just listen for instructions. You're going to be getting 3.3 ounces of clay. We're going to roll that into a ball. It's going to take us about maybe 20 seconds or so to get that into a ball. No longer than 20 seconds because our clay is already starting to dry out, okay? Then we're going to stop. We're going to hold our clay. Don't worry about these cracks right here, okay? We're going to hold our clay ball in our hand like a little egg. We're going to push our thumb into our clay ball, okay? Make an indentation. Make sure you don't push all the way through. We don't want a hole on the back side. Then we're going to take both thumbs. We're going to make a bigger indentation. Then we're just going to give it just a little squeeze, turn, squeeze, turn. We do call this a pinch pot. You do want to be careful when you're pinching this so that you're not squeezing it too much right around what we call the lip, and this is actually the lip of the fish that we're going to make. We don't want to squeeze it too much right here because it will get very, very thin. Okay, now let me show you if I did accidentally get this too thin, like say this was the fish part, what you can, the lip part, what I could do is I could just go ahead and roll this under like that. Or I could get one of my modeling tools like this one and I could flatten that back out again so that it is not too thin, okay? And I'm here for you if you guys need help. You may also have somebody at your table group that is really good at working with pinch pots. I like to use my thumbs to smooth out the lip portion of my pinch pot, especially if I'm turning it into a fish. Please don't put your clay down on the table yet. Keep it in your hands, okay? I'm just going to gradually stretch it as I'm pinching it. I'm stretching it, and it's going to gradually get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, okay? Now, instead of tamping it down to make the pinch pot that would sit on a countertop and hold things, we're going to tamp the front. Now, it's probably going to fall backwards like that, okay? So what I do is I'll try to make a little bit of a better base right there. You know, I actually have a solution for this as well. If we add the tail, okay, it's not going to be as likely to fall backwards, okay? So once you have this, the shape that you want, if you would like to, while it's in your hand, you can go ahead and get your popsicle stick and smooth out those extra cracks. You don't need to add, at this point, you don't need to add more water to it. When you add a lot of water to it, it actually will lose some of the strength. It gets a little bit flimsy. It'll take away some of the strength of the clay. So let me go ahead and I'm going to smooth this out. I got a big crack back there. Whatever you do, do not start over, okay? If I have a little crack here and there, starting over is not going to be a good solution for that. Starting over is just going to make my clay even more dry and more cracked, okay? So I'm actually not removing the clay. I'm just smearing it out. Think of buttering a piece of toast or maybe frosting maybe a cupcake or a cake, okay? Your rib tool is also going to be a good tool for this, okay, for smoothing out. Okay, now remember that this part right here is the base. This is the area where I'm going to write your name on it, your fish. I might write your initials and name on the back side. I'll find a good place for it, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that right there. Then you're going to come and see me, or your table leader may even pass out this clay for you. This is going to be an ounce of clay. Okay, I'm going to roll it into a ball. I'm just going to kind of squish the edges like that so it's kind of a rectangle shape. and then I'm going to tamp it down on the table. I'm going to give it a little squeeze. Kind of reminds me of the shape of maybe like a Pringles chip. Well, maybe not a Pringles chip. Anyway, so you've got this type of shape right there. Okay, again, tamp it down. Then on the back side right here, I'm going to be sticking this on there. Before I do that, I need to do a little pottery trick, a little ceramic trick. I need to score this piece right here where I'm going to attach it, and then I'm also going to score this piece that will be attaching, okay? So think of it like the clay, the lines that I scratch in, they're going to connect together, and when it dries, it's going to shrink a little bit, and they're going to have a stronger bond, okay? Now, if you want to, you can tilt it like this and give it a scratch like that, okay? Or if you feel like it's going to be easier for you, you can lay the fish lips. You can have your fish give his clay cloth a little kiss there. And mist this, give it a little mist. Okay, and then we'll have slip, cup of slip for us to use. Just for today, just getting started, we're going to try to minimize the amount of tools that we have out. Okay, then I made marks that go this direction right here. I'm going to do the same thing. These are actually horizontal marks for my fish, but on camera, I'm showing vertical marks, okay? So we want them to be pretty scratchy, okay? They look pretty rough right there. Give it a little spritz, and you guys can do this right along with me. And then I'm just going to push them down together and kind of smear and smush them around, wiggle it together. What I like to do is I like to go ahead and make this look like it's all one piece. So I get my popsicle stick, one of my favorite clay tools, my wooden popsicle stick. It works really good. It's got a rounded edge. It's got sharp edges over here that grabs a hold of the clay and moves the clay so I can smear. Now notice that I'm cradling it in my hand, and then I'm turning it because I don't want to misshapen this while I'm putting just very, very gentle pressure on that. Now you could also lay it flat, and you could turn it and smooth it this way. That's another strategy that you could use. Okay, now, as I was saying earlier, we don't want our clay to be too thin, okay? Now, we're gonna add some fins on the edge right here, but I feel like that the tail is gonna look a little bit more fish-like if we have it curved ever so slightly like that, but just make sure you don't have it too thin, okay? Now, we can always maybe attach some other things on it later, but for today, just starters, we're just going to keep like a pretty simple, basic fish, okay? Okay, and then the last thing that you're going to do is, let me grab a couple of note cards. Okay, so I have a whole set of note cards that's printed out, okay, for you. Cover up that name right there. Okay, so what you're going to do, if you haven't already done this, when your leader passes out the cards, or when I pass out your card, you're going to go ahead and fold it in half like that. Okay, give it a little squeeze. If it gets a little bit dirty, that's okay. We don't want to get them too wet, okay? And then in our clay tray, place your clay artwork here. So this is going to go on top of that. So when we get cleaned up, we'll go ahead and put this on the tray first, okay? Carry this over to our red trays where we keep all of our clay. And then we'll come back to the table and we'll get all this cleaned up, and then I'll be looking and listening for tables that are ready, okay? Now in our tray, we're gonna have a whole bunch of these set up side by side by side so that it's gonna make it easier next time to find our initials and our name, okay? Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys out. Okay, so I'm gonna get these name cards out of the way right now. My next class that comes in is going to be using those. So I hope this video has helped you guys out, okay? Let me go ahead and just close up with how to add the eyes on there, just in case some of my class, some of my students, some of my classes are already ready for that. What I like to do is, if you are I'm so sorry, keep wiggling the tripod. If you're finished making yours and you see somebody at your table group or somebody in our class that might need a little extra help, just, be willing to help them. Make sure that you've gotten your stuff done. Make sure you've taken care of your business first, and then you can go help somebody else who needs help, okay? It is so kind and considerate to help somebody, make them feel good about you, make them feel good about themselves. And it's really nice to feel like you're cared about. And also, I like you guys to feel like you're successful on your project. So I divided up my clay into 2 pieces. Okay, you'll do the same. I think I measured out about 0.6 ounces, 0.6 or 7 ounces, depending on how big you want your little fish eyeballs to be. I scored the bottom of the eyeball. I scored the top where the eye's going to go. And I'm going to press that firmly. Okay, press that firmly so that we interlock those scratch marks. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make my scratch marks a little bit more prominent right there. I'm going to roll this eye out. I like to keep the eyes close together and not far apart because I feel like I think it looks good, but I also feel like it gives it a little bit more security. And it helps it not to fall off so easily, like if somebody bumps into it, okay? I'm going to do my best to try to protect your clay artwork so nobody bumps into it. But, you know, if we build it correctly, that's also going to give us a good assurance that our clay is not going to fall apart, okay? So if you touch this or bump this and it falls off, you didn't score and you didn't give it a little spritz, okay? Score, spritz, and stick. Score, spritz, stick. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to do is make sure that these, I don't want cracked eyes on my sweet little fishy. Okay, or maybe he's an ornery little fishy, I don't know. But what I'm going to do on the back side of my little fish, I'm going to go ahead and flatten out the back of his eyes. That's kind of a gross sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and flatten those out and join those just a little bit better. Oh, I'm so sorry, I was off camera. Join those just a little bit better right there. Kind of like what I did with my tail. And that is going to help to secure my eyes on there, make it a little bit stronger. Okay, when you guys are working, I ask that we have between voice level 0 and voice level 1. I know when I am doing these videos and I'm talking and I'm trying to work, it really does impede my working because I'm trying to think about what I'm about to say and I'm trying to make sure I'm not making mistakes on my clay work. And sometimes I do have a tendency to make mistakes when I talk too much. So just enjoy the process. I'll probably turn on some music for you guys so that we can have a nice peaceful work environment. Okay, this should be fun. This should be relaxing. This should be enjoyable. Okay, take your time. Don't rush through the process. Okay. I will make sure that these are covered up. I've got some plastic that I'm going to put over these so that these will still be moist when we come in next time so we can continue to add to our little clay work. I'm going to go ahead and give it some eyes. I joke and say that the fish wants to see at night when we leave for the day and he's here by himself. He wants to be able to see his other fish friends. And I'm going to try to make those face the same direction. If you want them to be silly and look like they're kind of cross-eyed, that's okay too. Okay. Anyway, I love you guys so much. I can't wait to see what you come up with. I hope you really enjoy this project. Okay. Okay. Bye, guys.